Hello, everybody. I was going to do another subject today on boys and girls, and interesting way of looking at the Bible. And the first part we're going to is Genesis 6 through 5. All right, here we go. And God saw that the wickedness of men was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought and of his heart was evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him in his heart. Okay, I want to look at this. Now it says men, okay, but the children were destroyed in that generation just as well. There was only 8 people that were saved. So if the father is wicked, so is the child going to be wicked, kind of like the upbringing. So I wanted to use that as a insight, to that particular area of time. Now we're going to go to let's go to 2 Kings 2, chapter 2, 2 Kings chapter 2 to 23 and 25. Okay, 23 technically. I think I got that. Yeah, 23 through 25, 2 Kings chapter 2. And he went from thence unto Bethel, and as he was going up by the way, there came forth little children out of the city, mocked him, and said unto him, go up, thou bald head, go up. Thou bald head. Sorry, repeated that, but now, children, being wicked and stuff like that, haughty, high-minded kind of thing, judging, throwing stones. Children can be just as childish as the men, regardless of their 5 years old to 20. They could still be childish, immature. And and he turned back and looked on them and cursed them in the name of the Lord. And there came forth 2 she-bears out of the woods and tore those 42 children of them. And he went from thence to Mount Carmel, and from thence he returned to Samaria. Okay, 42 children, that's quite a bit. Not men, children. But like I said, children and men can be just the same way, immature and childish, but they can also be adult, grown up and learning and growing. Okay? And that goes for girls too. Women can be just as childish as a boy, or like versa. Women and girls can be just as immature, just as childish, just as doing the same fleshy things, speaking evil, provoking someone, lying, deceiving. Both sides play that game. Now we're going to go to let's try 1 Corinthians 14:20. Brethren, be not children in understanding, howbeit in malice, but be ye children, but in understanding be ye men. Grow up, be ye mature, not childish. And that goes for women too. Even the women can learn the word now. And supposed to be, mature and adult-like, not gossiping, a busybody in other people's affairs, like even a child can do, or an immature adult. Both sides can play that game. No one's above the other. Up, straight down the middle. Now we're going to go to Proverbs 20. I'm going to go to Proverbs 22:24. Make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go. Okay. Now I want to use that as an insight, because even children can be angry and poutful, and you have to correct a child. But I wanted to use that as an insight that children can be just as way, that way, or a girl or a woman. They can all be that way. It takes maturity and growth regardless. I know that's not exactly the proverb, but in an understanding of this new generation, this day and age, you know. I just thought I'd throw that out a bit. It's like an off kind of, yeah, I'll just throw it out there just in case. Next, go to Matthew 7:1. Okay. Judge not that ye be not judged. For what judgment you judge shall you be judged, and what measure you make shall be measured unto you again. Okay. That's doing the same thing, being childish. You know, if you're throwing stones and bullying somebody or picking on someone or speaking evil, Paul said, speak not evil of one another or his neighbor, you know. Counterwise blessing, you know. Hitherto you're going to hear the blessing. Peter says stuff like that too, I do believe. I can get them a little confused at times. I've read the Bible quite a bit, so it's kind of, you know. But be not busybodies and speaking malice and stuff like that. Walk in the Spirit. That's what the old Beatitudes is about, walking in the Spirit. I know that's not easy for us sometimes. We get a little burdened with stuff, and, you know, we kind of, but, you know, just giving you insight how children can be, you know, just like any other grown up, whether it be a woman or a girl or a boy. They all can do the same thing regardless. God's not going to play favorites on this. I'm going to go to Ephesians 29 through 6:4. Okay, here we go. Let no corruption communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it minister grace unto the hearers. Okay, be not like children, you know, busybodies, mischievous, or girls. Girls could do the same thing, being malice and judging and picking on each other and bullying or lying, you know. We all can do the same thing. Regardless, boys and girls could both do that. Keep that in mind. Now we're going to go to 6:4. Ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, care of the Lord. And that can hinder. The parent can be the procurator of teaching their children evil things or good things, depending on what they want to do. You know, it's all on the parent. But for a good parent, a mother and a father, you know, who are trying to raise their children in good things, teach them good things. Do your best you can. Yeah, you guys have the wisdom and understanding. Those who want to raise their kids good. And I know some parents out there who do those things and have to deal with their children and get in bad ways, probably. I was just throwing it out there that like in Genesis, look at what happened to those children. Those children perished because they followed the parents. So if the parent's doing the thing, the child's going to be influenced by, you know. You got to watch what your children are being influenced by. Everybody should know that who has children. I mean, that's, you know, kicking a dead horse somehow, you know. All right, next we'll go to Colossians 3:21. Bear with me, I'm going to Colossians 3:1. There we go. Man, my hands are cold. 3:21. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Now, you got to be careful on, you know, how you treat your children. Everybody knows that who's raised children, you know, well, that's not new with that, you know, kind of thing. But the way you treat your children, you mostly abuse them or treat them ill, that can cause them to shake, shiver, or just be emotionally grieved. And then that all that pimped up anger and stuff eventually could cause them to do someone harm or themselves, you know. I just want to throw that out there, you know. Parents should raise their children in love and care as best they can, But the children should hopefully and pray that they don't become disobedient and just horrible regardless if their parents are good and just be haughty and high-minded, basically. But I was showing that even girls can be like that, cruel, bad, stuff like that. Next we'll go 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 4. Know this in the last days that perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boastful, proud, blaspheming, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontentious, fierce, despisers of those that are good. Okay. Children can, both boys and girls can be like that. And men, and women. They all can be like that. Regardless of their age, they're both, childish and, can be cruel just as bad regardless. Next I'll go to Galatians. It's an off note, Galatians 5:26. Let us not be desirous of vainglory and provoking one another. That's a good verse right there. Let us not be desirous of vainglory and provoking one another and envying one another. Okay, James speaks of the same thing. They all kind of do. Let's break that down. Paul and the apostles speak of this, or the epistles speak of all the same thing. They're just said in their own understanding in their own way. Just to give you insight in that, if you ever read it, they all speak of the same way, but it really comes down to is the spirit and the flesh, From the Old Testament to the New, it's all about the same thing. Only in the Old Testament you had the law and all that, but now you don't, through Jesus Christ. So, that I just wanted to share. Boys and girls can both be covetous, desirous, provoking one another, disobedient, just as much as women, And men, I just wanted to throw that out. You got good people out there, and you got, your people who just want to act like children, toxic and bad and hurt people, I just thought I'd share that. I hope that helps you as much as it kind of is okay. It helps me. I mean, I've read the Bible. I have understanding in it. It's just sometimes it's hard to find the right words to put it into play. But I hope you like and share that. Thank you. Bye.